The snowstorm had lasted for 7 days straight. Even by Antarctic standards, this was extreme. At McMurdo Station, the largest research facility on the southernmost continent, communication systems flickered intermittently. Anomalies were normal in a place so isolated, but this time, something felt different. On the 8th day, when the winds finally calmed and the sky revealed a pale blue backdrop, a signal came through. It wasn't from any known satellite or probe. It originated just 38 miles from the base, deep beneath the ice. Agent Cole Matthews of the U.S. Department of Defense was in his 40s, seasoned and skeptical by nature. When he received the encrypted brief marked Top Secret, Alpha Priority, he assumed it was another weather monitoring blip, possibly caused by solar flares. But the briefing file said otherwise. The signal exhibited patterns, mathematical sequences, and pulses far too deliberate to be geological noise. Even stranger, it had signatures consistent with deep space radio bursts. But this wasn't coming from space, it was coming from under the Earth's surface. Within 48 hours, Matthews was on a classified military aircraft heading south. He wasn't alone. Agent Alina Vega, a linguistic cryptographer from the NSA, and Dr. Terrence Wu, a theoretical physicist with a background in radio astronomy, joined the mission. None of them knew what exactly they were looking for, only that they were to investigate the source of the anomalous transmissions and keep the findings strictly off record. No media, no allies, only silence. They arrived at McMurdo Station on the tail end of twilight. The commanding officer of the base, Colonel Bridget Hayes, was already waiting in the hangar. She wore a face of concern mixed with reluctance. Without wasting time, she led them to a secure room beneath the research dome. On a projector screen was a series of images. The first was an infrared scan showing a geometric formation beneath the ice, roughly 200 feet below ground, made of material that seemed to reflect thermal energy unnaturally. The second image displayed the transmission data, binary pulses grouped in threes, then primes, then Fibonacci sequences. Not only was it intelligent, but it was recursive, as if it were responding to itself. "This is not natural," Dr. Wu said, eyes wide. Colonel Hayes leaned forward. "We've narrowed the signal origin to a frozen cavern system. It's old, possibly hundreds of thousands of years. Satellite imaging suggests artificial tunnel-like structures. We believe this may be a form of technology buried beneath the ice, possibly older than human civilization." Matthews crossed his arms. "And why wasn't this discovered before?" Hayes gestured at the map. "It's always been there. But the recent ice melt, accelerated by climate anomalies, triggered the exposure. The structure beneath started interacting with our EM field, sending out pulses." Alina looked at the symbols. "These patterns, they aren't just communication. It looks like a countdown." That night, the team prepared for descent. Using a modified bore drill outfitted with infrared sensors and LiDAR, they tunneled toward the formation. The temperature dropped rapidly the deeper they went, not just due to depth, but due to an unnatural coldness that chilled even the reinforced walls of their suits. At 178 feet, the drill stopped. It struck metal. They switched to manual excavation. Using robotic arms and precision laser cutters, they carved out a circular seal. The surface was made of an iridescent material that shimmered with hues not found in any known metal. A handprint, non-human in proportion, was etched into its surface. "It's a door," Alina whispered. Dr. Wu placed a thermal sensor near the handprint. "It's absorbing energy, not just reflecting it, draining it." Matthews issued the command. "Open it." There was no creaking, no dramatic swing of hinges. The seal simply faded, as if the molecules themselves lost cohesion. A tunnel extended beyond the opening, smooth walls, impossible geometry, and an eerie, ambient glow. They entered. For over 300 feet, the path sloped downward in a spiral, gravity subtly bending, as if distorted by some localized field. Their flashlights distorted, beams warping around corners as if avoiding certain areas. No wind, no echoes, just silence and the persistent, low hum of the transmission. At the end of the tunnel was a chamber the size of a football stadium. Floating in the center, suspended by invisible force, was a structure resembling a cube, but its sides continuously folded inward and outward in impossible ways. The air shimmered around it, and on the walls were murals. Not carved, projected. The murals showed Earth, then other planets, then ships, oval metallic, light-speed arcs behind them. Then came what looked like DNA strands, splitting and recombining. The last image was unmistakable, a bipedal figure descending from the sky, meeting primitive humans. Then the structure itself being buried beneath ice, while those same primitive humans watched in awe. "We weren't the first," Dr. Wu said, his voice cracking. Matthews looked at Alina, who stood motionless. She whispered, "They left it here for us." Suddenly the structure pulsed. A beam of light scanned them, not invasive but curious, like a fingerprint reader. Alina's wristcom activated without prompt, displaying the same prime number sequences. The countdown had reached its end. A voice, not heard, but felt inside their skulls, spoke. It was not English, yet they understood it. "You have opened what was left. You are near the cusp. The age of seeding is past. The age of return begins." Then silence. They returned to McMurdo Station shaken and disoriented. Within hours, the entrance sealed itself, the ice shifting violently, as if the land itself wanted to hide it once more. All data was backed up to secure servers, but within 12 hours, most of the digital recordings were corrupted. Images scrambled. Sound files blank. But Alina had memorized everything. In her dreams, the voice spoke again. It showed her star systems, vast networks of civilizations, and what it called the Ascension Protocol. She documented all of it, sketching maps, formulas, even symbols. The Pentagon requested immediate debrief. But when they arrived to extract her, she was gone. Only a note remained, scrawled in ink. "We were meant to find them, but not to keep them hidden. They will return, with or without us." Matthews was reassigned to a desk post. Dr. Wu disappeared 6 weeks later during a research mission in Norway. Colonel Hayes was relieved of duty for mental instability, and McMurdo Station was temporarily shut down due to structural instabilities. Behind the scenes, a new task force was formed, Project Helix. Hidden from the public and the majority of government agencies, its objective was clear: monitor global EM anomalies, decode signals similar to the one found at the South Pole, and prepare for potential extraterrestrial contact. Months passed. Then a signal was detected from the Gobi Desert. Identical patterns, identical countdown, and elsewhere, crop circles in remote Peru mirrored the murals found beneath the Antarctic ice. Alina, now living under an assumed identity, continued her work in secrecy. She believed that Earth was not merely visited, but cultivated. The messages she received now came in dreams, not machines. They weren't just signals. They were instructions. In the final days of the year, strange auroras appeared above Antarctica, visible even from the tip of South America. Planes diverted. Satellites failed. Then, from beneath the ice, the signal returned. Stronger. Louder. And this time it wasn't alone.